Hello there guys, it's me Unstable Voltage and welcome back to Feed the Beast Infinity. There's just been an update to the version. We're now running on version 1.6.2. Previous to that it was 1.5.1. That's still using Minecraft version 1.7.10. I don't really know what has changed. It was a bit of a surprise update. I literally just fired the game up to record this video and it said there was an update, so I thought fair enough. Nothing seems to be broken, although when the game loaded in it did say that some of the runic dungeon items were missing. Not that we've been really using that mod or anything from it, so that seems fine. So I don't think it's really affected an awful lot. So I'm going to be doing a little bit more with applied energistics today, a little bit more with the ME system. I've done some preparation work, but there's a couple of little bits and pieces that I just want to show you guys. Somebody commented on one of the videos recently. I can't remember who it was, so again, apologies. It may well have been Duncan, because I think it was one of my regular commenters. About the solar panels that are powering my machine system downstairs. Now, certainly, yes, the reactor is putting out a lot more power than my solar panels, but some people seem to think I still have 8 solar panels. There's been more than 8 for quite some time. I went and I've built quite a few more as time's gone on, but I think there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, yeah, 24 panels now. They're all still the very, very basic ones, so they only put out 1 EU per tick, but that's still 24 EU per tick. It is my intention later on at some point to upgrade these, because we do have advanced solar panels. Obviously, we need the mats and stuff to make them, but yeah, I definitely want to get some of these upgraded. Of course, we need the infrastructure to do so. These do feed into the MFSU, or is it the MFE? I can't remember. Let's have a quick look. They do feed into the something or another. Yeah, so we've got the MFE up here. Now, what I noticed yesterday when I was doing the preparation for this video is that all of the machines in here, including the recycler, actually run off the bat box here. Let's double check. Yeah, so the bat box is actually supplying power to everything. Nothing is connected up to the MFE, but we'll look at that later on. Just going to go and sleep things off so I can show you guys what I have been doing. So the main thing that I've done is I've actually gone and put some extra cables in. If we go up to our top floor, you'll notice this big, massive, ugly green cable sticking out of the top of the ME controller. I've moved this terminal down. I mean, this terminal isn't really required. It's just a bit of fun. We can get rid of it if we need it, but I've just moved it down to this side. Now, this is a dense cable, and a dense cable is... It works in the same way as a smart cable, but it can carry 32 channels. If you actually look at the little mod at the top, which I can never remember the name of, as you can see, it says 7 of 32 channels. If we go and look at this smart cable, you can see it says 3 of 8 channels, and that's I don't think it works with non-smart cables. Yeah, if we mouse over a cable that isn't a smart cable, like this one, for example, this just tells us that it is a glass cable. If you mouse over a smart cable or a dense cable, it does tell you how many channels are being used, and also when they drop out. So, for example, if we go over here, we can see that this bit of the cable is only using 2 of 8 channels. This bit of the cable is only using 1 of 8 channels, whereas this bit of the cable is using 3 of 8 channels. So it corresponds with the lines. So a dense cable can take 32 channels out. Now, it only shows 1 line because I think 1 line represents about 8 channels or something along those lines. Maybe 4. I'm not too sure which way it works. Might be 4, because obviously 4 times 8 being 32. So I've put that out of there and obviously coloured it green. Now, that goes through the wall. There's nothing really behind that wall, so that literally just goes through the wall and drops down. We go down to the next floor, and it literally... There's nothing really connected up here. So it comes through the ceiling, and as you can see, it makes a little bit of a weird detour turn, because I wanted to try and keep it away from the redstone wire and all of the engines and stuff like that. And this area is a little bit messy, and I would like to do something with this in the future. I did, by the way, also try to use the facades that we can use to cover these holes. I tried to use those facades to cover these holes here that my BuildCraft pipes are using. They don't work. The facades from Applied Energistics only work with the ME cables. So if we want to cover up holes like this, then we're going to have to use the... I can't remember what it's called now, but the sort of the the laser crafting table, the manufacturing bench or whatever it is. I cannot remember the name of it for the life of me at the moment. But we'll do that at some point in the future. So the cable just basically goes down there, travels along, drops down this hole in the floor. I guess we can shut this door actually and just go down to the next level and trace where that cable goes. So that cable basically comes down here. Now it was a little bit fiddly because you can see all this dripping water. There is an aqueous accumulator up here between levels, which is feeding water to the sort of cobblestone generator up there, well, what is it, the igneous extruder, and I think it's also feeding water to something else, but we're using it for 2 devices. Oh, the carpenter. It's feeding water to the carpenter. So this is the room that is level with my Industrial Craft 2 stuff. I have moved some of these cables up because I used to just run in a straight line along the bottom, and I wanted to be able to run these cables through. And as you can see up here, this is the MFE. And the MFE is only connected to this MV transformer, which is connected to nothing at the moment. This is the bat box, and the bat box actually feeds all of the machines. And I'd completely forgotten that that was the setup until I came out here to do this cable. Which is fine, because all of these machines are only low voltage, so we couldn't connect them directly to the MFE. Well, technically we could, because we are still in IC2 beta, which means that the machines don't explode. But I can't even connect them to the MV transformer, because I need an LV transformer as well. But anyway, that's besides the point. So we've got this high density cable coming down here, and as you can see, it splits off into a smart cable, and that feeds out through some facades into the other room. Now you might have seen those when we popped in here before, but basically these 3 cables are popping out between the, not so worried about the extractor, but mainly there's one either side of the macerator, and there's one either side of the electric furnace. Now, what you've got to remember is that some of the ME interface panels, like import buses, export buses, and terminals and things, can actually be used as a part block. So we could put one on this side. So for example, let's say we wanted to put things into our macerator. We could have an export bus on this side of the cable, which would go into this side of the macerator, and an import bus on this side of the macerator that goes into that side of the cable. Remember, it's an import bus on the way out because it imports into the system. But then what we could do is we could have an export bus on this side of the cable connected to the electric furnace. So this cable would actually carry 2 channels. So remember, if you do have multiple things connected to the one end of the cable, you still need multiple channels. The idea of that is, I haven't put anything on there yet because I haven't decided whether I'm going to use import and export buses or whether I'm going to use the interface blocks. The difference mainly being is that interfaces are much better if you want to do automation, because you can actually use things like patterns, and you can specify if you want to build a certain item, the system will go off and automatically build all of the prerequisite materials for you, which is something that I would like to do, but I haven't done it before, so I might have to do a bit of experimentation. The easiest way to do something would be to put an export bus on here, which would export stuff from the system, and I could configure it to take all of the unprocessed ore from the system and put it into the macerator. And then we could have an import bus to take all of the ore dust and import it back into the ME system. And then we can export it back from the ME system into the electric furnace. And then we can take all of the ingots out of the electric furnace and import them back into the system. So that would automatically take all of our unprocessed ore, process it in the macerator, and then smelt it into ingots, which might not be a bad idea, but that's not what we are going to do today. Now you'll also notice that the cable also still carries on down through the floor, and it is carrying some channels. So if we go down to this floor, you can see that it just peeks through and goes through a hole in the wall. Now I did have to configure a few of the reconfigure a few of these pipes because they were getting in the way and they were connecting to the cable, which is a little bit weird, but you can use ME to move fluids around, and that's actually got me thinking I might completely redo all of this here. These tanks were originally built for the magma crucible so we could store all of the different liquids that we make. But I didn't really plan it out very well. I think we've got far more tanks here than we are ever going to need. The system doesn't work very well because of the fluid physics in the BuildCraft pipes, which means we constantly have to keep breaking pipes and reconfiguring stuff. It uses all of these engines, which of course is a manual process, because if I decide I want liquid ender in the tank, I've got to come down here and flick the switch. And of course, if there's any other liquid that's still stuck in the pipe, like liquid redstone, it won't work, and it just becomes a nightmare. So what I might do at some point is completely get rid of all of these tanks, and we'll actually use the ME system to carry the liquid. And that's great because we have this dense cable, so we can actually take quite a lot of channels through it. And that might get us using sort of point-to-point tunneling, but that is going to be something for another day. So now that you can see where that high-density cable goes, we are going to go down to that room because there's no door from that room, so we have to go down here. But this is where that high density cable goes. So as you can see, it splits off into a smart cable here, and this smart cable is carrying all 7 of the channels that are coming through the dense cable. Now as you can see, it's actually started to use some of the white lines because it's carrying 7 channels. If it was carrying 8, there'd be another white line. And you can see how it splits off. Now what I've got here is I have a number of these storage bus. Now unlike an import bus and an export bus, an import bus and export bus can attach to a storage block, such as a chest or a barrel, but they can also attach to machine blocks, as I was talking about upstairs, such as the macerator and the electric furnace. The storage buses only connect to storage blocks, and I've got them connected up to absolutely everything here, apart from the barrel with the cobblestone in. So let's just go and have a look at the ME system. If we go over here and type in cobble, for example, we've got no cobblestone. There's no cobblestone at all in the system. I actually took all of the extra cobblestone and went and put it in the recycler. So we've got no cobblestone here at all. And what we need to build is a ME storage bus, one of these things right over here. Now, they're nice and easy to build. That's the wrong thing that I've just clicked on there. What happened? Storage bus. There we go. A storage bus is literally just an ME interface, a sticky piston, and a normal piston. Now, as luck would have it, I'd already gone and built those in advance. So we have the ME interface, the sticky piston, and the piston. And those of you who keep complaining, you will like the fact that I actually just shift-click the question mark in not enough items, which means it's automatically put all the stuff here for me. So I can just go ahead and take this ME storage bus. So let's just remind ourselves, cobble. The only thing that comes up under cob is the cobble facade, or cable facade that's cobblestone, the kinesis pipe, and the transport pipe. I am going to go over here, and I am going to... You've got to shift and click because you've got to crouch, otherwise you're just accessing the barrel. Nothing's happened yet, it's still white. It takes a few seconds for the ME system to realise. There we go. It's now lit up green. It's using an extra channel. You can now see that the smart cable is using all 8 of its 8 channels here. And you can see that the extra white line has lit up. Yeah, and now we've got 2 green lines on the dense cable. So 1 line on the dense cable represents 4 channels. And obviously if we've got all 32 channels used, it will have 4 green lines and 4 coloured lines and 4 white lines like this one does. So now that that barrel is connected up, if we go over here to the terminal, and I haven't changed anything other than connecting that up, if I type in cobblestone, you can now see that we have 16,320 cobblestone. That is because it's connected to this. Now, if you actually look at the barrel has 255 stacks of 64. So if we go over here, search for cobble, let's just go ahead and take a few stacks. So remember, we've got 255 stacks. Let's get out of there. If we look now, 251 stacks. This thing is still connected up with the import bus at the back. If I just go and throw all of that cobble in there, you'll see that that cobble is being taken out of the chest. Very slowly, but it is being taken out of the chest. And if we go and have a look over here now, you'll actually see the number going up. So that means it's actually using the barrels to store it, and we don't have to worry about our storage system upstairs. Not that we do anyway, because, as I demonstrated in a previous episode, most of these drives are completely empty or almost empty. I've also gone ahead and grabbed a couple of the drives out here for something that we are going to use, well, quite shortly actually. So let's go and just have a quick sleep because it's night time. I'm going to be making a small change to the quarry. So the first thing that we are going to do is I'm going to build an ME storage chest. Okay, it's not where I wanted to type it because I wanted to find it on not enough items. What I should do, as somebody has suggested, is changing this to any synchronized, not auto, any synchronized standard. So if I go here and type in ME storage, or is it just ME chest? Yeah, there we go. So what we want is the ME chest. Now again, relatively easy to build. It uses a terminal. It uses some glass, any type of glass will do. It uses ME glass cable, a fluix crystal or pure fluix crystal, and an iron ingot. So it's all stuff that I have already in the system because it's stuff that I went ahead and built previously. So that is the ME chest. Obviously I only had one of the interfaces, so we can't build another. Now what we also need is a vibration chamber. I believe I did build another one. Yep, so we've got a vibration chamber there as well. And we're also going to need a drive. Now I've got two here. These are the two drives that I took out the system upstairs. I'm only going to use one for now because only one is needed. So let's go ahead and pop outside to the quarry and I can show you guys what I am thinking about doing. So let's just have a little nom on some state there because we can run if we're at full health. So what I want to do is not have to keep coming out to these chests, emptying all of the stuff out of them from the quarry, and then going and putting it all into the ME system. Now, I know there are better ways of doing this, as you guys keep pointing out. I could use things such as a void chest or using tesseracts. Now, I don't actually have... these are new. I haven't seen these before. Is it because I've got something half typed in? Yeah. So... oh, I've broken it. Nope, we're good. Okay. Sounded like there were skeletons around there or somewhere. Might be something down in the quarry. Although it should technically be too light. Anyway, this quarry is actually nearly done. So, what I want to do is... I'm completely losing my own chain of thought here. There's definitely a skeleton below us. I'm not sure where he is. I want to... I could use the... ender chests, and I could use tesseracts, but I don't have all the materials to build either right now. So what I'm going to do instead is do it this way, mainly because I'm just experimenting. You know, I'm still kind of learning what we can do with applied energistics with ME, so let's go ahead and do that. For some reason it seems like we've actually got the wrong textures on these pipes, which is a little bit annoying. I don't think we need the pipes to be quite as long as they have been, although we will still keep quite a lot of the pipe in there. So let's just go this way. We'll grab some more of that pipe actually, and we'll just bring it down over here. So we'll connect it there, there, and we will come down. So what we're going to do is we are going to take our ME chest, and we're going to pop that below the pipe, which should be on that block there. So that should connect up. Now, as you can see, if I right-click on it, nothing really happens. You can see it's got a little icon there for a drive. We need to put a drive in. So let's go ahead and put the drive in. You can see now that that hole at the front is filled. If we take that out, it's empty. If we put that in, we can see that it has the drive there. Now, also, it can't do anything because it doesn't have any power. So that's what the vibration chamber is for. We're going to put the vibration chamber down next to it. As we've already discovered, vibration chamber can actually run off peat. So let's go ahead and grab some peat. We'll put that in the system. Now, again, if we actually were using a tesseract, then we would be able to... if we were actually using a tesseract, we'd be able to feed power from the main building into the system and then feed stuff back. But now, if we actually click on the top of the chest, you can see that we can see the interface here. Now, let's just go ahead and turn the quarry on. I'm completely forgetting how words work today, which is absolutely ridiculous. So it's a little bit weird. These chests have the interface panel on the top, and I've made it a little bit ugly. I guess we could go ahead and fix that if we just did the tiniest bit of reconfiguration with the pipes here. Let's just go ahead and do it this way because it'll look a little bit neater. There we go. So it goes into the back of the chest. And it now means it's easier to actually grab the panel on the top. And the power in here should last for quite a while. Of course, it does mean that we've got one more thing that we need to feed Pete into. I don't know where that skeleton is directly down below. I also still think that there is a dungeon somewhere over near our house below the reactor and just to the right of, I think, that level. So somewhere around there, right in the centre where the crosshair's pointing, I think there's a dungeon down there. Because I keep hearing things through the wall. We might have to go and check that out at some point. So as you can see, we're starting to get blocks flowing now from the quarry, and they are going into the chest. So there's quite a lot of storage in there. So it follows the same principle as the drive does when you're using it in your ME system, and that is if you're using a 1K drive like I am, you can store 1024 bytes of data, but only a maximum of 63 item types. So we will need to keep our eye on it. Now, the question is, what do we do when the drive is full? Well, that's the reason why I've got a second drive, an empty one, back at base. Because if this fills up, I can just come, take the old drive out, and swap it for a new one. Now, the question is, what do we do with the old drive, the one that is full? We could just go take that drive and plug it straight into one of our ME drives that we have in our ME system. So, what we could do is we could go and plug it straight into here. Now that would work because it would put it in the system, but the problem we'd have then is that you might have a disk that has a load of cobblestone stacks on there that might only be half full, and bear in mind the barrel downstairs is full. It doesn't necessarily have to be cobblestone, it could be anything, but we might have some half full stacks of something. So we put that in the system, and then we use another blank disk. And then when we put that blank disk in the system, we now might have the same item split up over two drives, and it doesn't have a full stack. So we want to try and optimize it. We don't want it to get fragmented like a hard drive would. We want to try and keep everything together. So ideally what we want to do is take everything off of the drive that comes out of the chest and load it back into the system sequentially so it all goes into the right place. And that's what we're going to do. And that involves one more item that we need to build. And that is the ME... Is it the MEIO bus? The MEIO port. That's what we need to build. This thing here. So the MEIO port is, again, quite easy to build. It's a little bit more expensive because it requires a logic processor. And it also requires a couple of ME drives which need the engineering processors. So you do have to build a few processors. I've already gone ahead and built the drives. And I've got everything else in the inventory. So if we just click that, we can build ourselves an MEIO port. At least we can do if the game stops freezing up. And as you can see, we've got a few of the extra bits, but we don't need them. So let's go ahead and get rid of those. We've got ourselves our MEIO port. And what we're going to do is we're going to go and put this IO port over here on this side. That will use another channel. At least it will do when it kicks in. There we go. So that's using another channel. So you'll now see that this cable now has 4 blue lines on it, using 4 of 8 channels. Now what this IO port is this allows us to basically put a disk with data on into the IO port, and it will transfer it into the system. And in fact, why don't we go and quickly demonstrate that? So let's go ahead and grab our other storage cell. And that way we can make sure that it works. And then what that will do is it will give us a blank disk back, and we can use that, and we can just basically keep swapping the blank disks around. So we use one disk in the chest until it's full, and then we swap it around with an empty disk and go and load the full or partially full disk back onto the system. We may drop some blocks on the floor here while we do this. Yeah, still getting a fair bit of peat in there. So if we look, you can see we've got a few blocks here. Nothing particularly special. But what we can do is we can go here. We can just swap the drives like that. So as you can see, the drives have instantly been swapped over. We've now only got 3 cobblestone in there. We didn't even lose any blocks on the floor, which is fantastic. So that's the way I suggest doing it. Click on your empty drive, and then click on the full drive so that they instantly swap 1 for 1. Don't take the old drive out and then put the new drive in, because that will probably just end up with the pipe trying to feed into a chest that has no storage left, and it will just spit them onto the floor. So now what we can do is we can go over here to the I/O port. We can take this drive, put it in the I/O port there, and as you can see, it has now emptied everything off. It's already empty. It's that quick. And we now have an empty drive, and all of that stuff is already on the system. So that's a really, really effective way if you want to have a chest that you can feed stuff into, load it onto a disk, and then come and drop it straight into the ME system. The I/O port can be changed to work the other way around, so you can actually take stuff from your ME network and transfer it onto a disk. You can't really specify what order it does it in. The main reason for doing that is because you can have multiple ME networks, and you might decide that one of your old ME networks is redundant, and you can just load stuff from one network to the other. It's also worth bearing in mind, though, that you could just do that by pulling the drives out, putting them in the other network. But that's about as far as I have got with ME. What I'll be doing in maybe the next video is seeing if I can get the interfaces or the input-output ports to work. I'm just not too sure whether I want it to be automated. I can't see any downside in automatically taking all of the ore and processing it, and then automatically processing all of that into ingots. There doesn't really seem to be a downside of doing that. Bear in mind it uses solar power, so it's not really costing us anything to do so. I mean, obviously we do use quite a lot of ore in the smeltery. There was one thing I actually wanted to check, and this might sound silly, but it's something that I've never actually tried, and as a result didn't know if it worked or not. So I'm just going to try something and see if this does work. I just want to take one iron ingot, a single iron ingot, which seems like it's a little bit pointless, but what I wanted to try is down at the smeltery, will it actually accept an ingot and smelt it back? Yes, it does. Okay. So my main concern was if I smelt all of my ore into ingots and then I want to make an alloy in the smeltery, I won't have any ore left. But that doesn't matter because you can just smelt the ingots back down. Obviously, you'll only get one per one. Not like if you put an ore in where you get 2 ingots per ore, you're only going to get 1 ingot per ingot, if that makes sense. Yeah, so there's actually no downside that I can see into automatically converting all of the ore into ingots after they've been through the macerator. So worst case scenario, we just have export buses and import buses to do that automatically. But the purpose of using the interfaces is that what you could do, and you know, you could have it connected up to a crafting table and whatnot. And this is like an example that a friend of mine used. You know, if you want a golden sword, but you haven't got a golden sword, but you do have gold ore in your system, you can just click on the golden sword recipe, because you'd have it here under the crafting status, providing you've got the recipe for it loaded. So you click on a golden sword and the system would go off. It would take the golden ore, put it through the macerator, take the gold dust, put it through the furnace, take the gold ingots, put it through the crafting table, and then spit out a golden sword back at the terminal. So that might be something that we do later on. But like I said, early days for me with Applied Energistics. I'm still finding my feet, although I think we've done pretty well so far. We've got most of the stuff up and running with very few hitches and problems. So I hope you guys are still enjoying Feed the Beast Infinity. I will see you on the next video, and until then, goodbye for now.